Like if I see something in my head or a dream, like I can actually see it. And then to your point, like what you do, I want to go get it.
I love a good pivot.
There's children's music artists are everywhere. That's the thing that a lot of people don't realize. I mean, in the Northeast, in the, in the Southwest, in Florida,
I didn't know how big it was.
All across the country.
Welcome to Soar with Avante Marie, where big dreams take flight. And today we have a very special guest. We're joined by Roy Moye III, a Grammy-nominated R&B artist, aerospace engineer, and founder of STEMusic LLC. With roots in gospel and a sound inspired by the golden era of R&B, Roy has captivated audiences with his powerful vocals, dynamic falsetto, and passion for authentic music. How are you today?
I am so good. It's exciting to be here.
I'm excited too.
I've just been waiting for this conversation, so I'm just happy.
You traveled all the way from Kansas.
Yes.
I love that.
Shout out Wichita, Kansas, but we're in H-Town.
Me in H-Town, hold it down.
Where you at, B? Where you at, B? Where you at, B? Where you at?
I think she probably in New York or something.
LA, somewhere.
LA. Her and Blue Ivy practicing some steps.
Come on, because I'm ready to purchase my ticket, okay?
Oh my God, I'm waiting for them tickets. I know they're going to be expensive.
And you know, like you said in my intro, I'm the third. So Act 3, that's me.
Oh,
okay,
yes,
everything, all the merch is going to be threes. Y'all, I'm too excited, yes.
Oh my God. So we're going to have a rapid fire question. It's kind of like a little icebreaker. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. You're going to answer really fast. And then I may ask you a little follow-up behind that.
Okay.
So number 1, old school R&B or new school R&B?
I'm definitely going to say old school R&B. I mean, I just need all the feels. And most importantly for me, I need real vocals.
Yeah.
No, auto-tune, no corrections, just people who can sing flat-footed and just belt out, the beautiful, wonderful songs from groups like New Edition, Charlie Wilson, the Gap Band, I know that's back, but if you ever seen him perform live, he's a favorite of my mom's and also a favorite of mine. Okay?
Everybody mama, actually.
Right. So, and then you just got even newer folks like a Jasmine Sullivan, where you're going to see them sing live, that they're going to be hitting these notes. And it's going to be epic. We already mentioned Beyonce. I mean, come on, 1 + 1, It's just a lot of amazing things. But yes, definitely more old school than new school.
I'm saying my favorite artist is my favorite group is Jodeci.
Okay.
I know all the Jodeci songs. And when I'm in the car, I'm singing that really high. I love it. But I'm a lover girl, so.
I call myself a lover boy all the time. I'm a romantic. Yes. What they call that? The yearn. We need to bring that yearn back. I think that you should let it burn. Ooh. Ooh, can you feel it burning? We need to feel it. Okay.
Yearn for me. All right. A Mars mission or ocean exploration?
Man, I'm thinking about this. I think, the ocean is scary. Space can be scary too because, in both, those are both of the extremes. I think I'm going to say Mars because I'm thinking about the aerospace of it all. How do we get there? What type of rocket are we using? I think that would be an interesting thing to be able to travel on. Now, I'm 6'1" 3/4, 6'2".
You are pretty tall.
So that's the only thing I always think about when I think about going into outer space and going inside of a rocket, right? You're so crammed in there already. And then to be a tall person. So that might be, little claustrophobia of being in there. You can't have that if you're going to go into space. But if I'm thinking of either or, because of my fascination with flights and, aerospace, I would probably have to say the Mars. And it takes a long time to get there.
Yeah.
Isn't it 6 months?
Honestly, I would not know.
I'm pretty sure it's a long time to get there. So, you got to have some patience.
Yeah.
You got to be prepared for stuff that may happen that, you can't control. So it's a risk. It's definitely a risk. But I probably would, if I had to pick between the two, Mars.
Yeah, same. I think so. Because I hear about that story that happened a few years back with the submarine. The makeshift submarine.
First of all, why are we using a PlayStation? Why are we using a joystick? Why is this professionally built? That was the first thing. And my mama be watching CBS Sunday mornings, so I'll be watching that show too. And I remember seeing that story on CBS Sunday morning. And he went down, the reporter went down in the submarine and everything. And I remember watching that wow, that's very interesting that you're not going to have an official tool to use to
Like, what are y'all doing? What were y'all
navigate and maneuver.
thinking?
Yeah, I don't know. And I know it was like a startup type of situation. And there's a lot of interest. And to be honest, like there is in any type of exploration, there is going to be risk, right? Even when we talk about flight and other things or building the tallest skyscrapers, there's going to be those risks. So I think it's inherently involved.
Right.
But sometimes I'm like,
I'm not partaking in no startups. I'm sorry. You're going to have to catch me on the third
right,
one. No,
right. It's like,
I'm not
I need
doing
to
it on
see,
the first.
yes, we need to see that redundancy of safety. And that's the engineer in me kicks in like, okay, is this safe?
Yeah.
What are we doing? I'm not just going to go on the first time or second time. Yeah. And that was so unfortunate. So
yeah.
It does make it scarier though. I'm like,
Facts.
Ocean, I don't know.
Studio recording or performing live?
You already know
the answer.
You already know. Performing live. I mean, there's nothing like the energy of a crowd. But even if there isn't a crowd, I grew up singing to the wall in my basement, pretending that I was on tour. And now that I'm on tour, it's like, this is a literal dream come true.
Right.
But yeah, I just love being able to, sometimes for me in particular, the studio can be a little daunting, or like if I'm recording myself, like in my apartment, I'll be cool. But sometimes when I'm in the studio, I'm like, I'm not hitting the note the way I want to hit it or whatever, because there is, for me at least, there is some level of pressure or something that kind of goes into it. Now, I'm a professional, so I can get in and get the job done, but it's nothing like singing live. Like if I'm live on the stage, I don't know, I just feel like I have this freedom. Like there is some confinement as it relates to studio. And sometimes for studio singers, that's their comfort.
Yeah, that's
because they know they can fix certain things and do certain things.
But once they get on that stage, it's a totally different ball game.
Is the mic on?
Yeah.
I
don't think the mic's on.
And there are different types of singers like that. There are some that are just amazing for session work and studio work, but getting on that stage live, you got different elements, especially if you're at a festival or you're outdoors, that sort of thing. But for me,
art to that.
It's always live. I grew up that way of just honoring and loving singers like a Miguel, like people, when you hear them live, you're like, oh my God.
So Miguel sounds good live? I never heard him live. I love his songs.
I saw him for the first time earlier this year, actually, in Chicago.
Okay.
He was going on tour, and it was for his Gauss album, which is Chaos in Spanish. And so it was more leaning towards the rock side of stuff. And so I was a little worried, like, is he going to sing the songs that I love? But he sang everything and sounded amazing. I was just like losing my mind because I think I've been following him since 2008 or something like that. Yeah. So yeah, Adorn is like one of my all-time favorite songs.
That's one of my favorite songs too.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie. I love me some Miguel. All right, NASA or SpaceX?
That's a great question. I'm probably gonna go with the legacy. NASA. I think it's so iconic of everything that they've done to open up the door for a SpaceX, right? I think you can appreciate SpaceX and their, rocket boosters landing, vertically, and all of the cool advancements that they're doing. So I think both are needed. Yeah. But yeah, I love me a classic NASA. Space shuttles are like, that's like my Apollo. People are like, oh my God, the moon, going to the moon with the Apollo missions. It's like, well, I grew up with the space shuttle. And so I remember seeing my first space shuttle, which was Atlantis, at the Kennedy Space Center. And the way they reveal it is really cool. Y'all just have to check it out. Everybody at home, you got to take a visit there. But they like reveal it with like this screen that kind of lifts up. And when I saw it, I was just like stunned. Right. And then you can like get up really close to it. And I literally started crying. My mom, like it was a birthday trip for us. Our birthdays are in July. So it was just like maybe 3 years ago. And she just like took a couple steps away because she knew I was having a moment of like, I used to stay up late. I used to wake up at 4 a.m., like all these different random times to try to watch on NASA.gov the launches of space shuttles. And sometimes they would be scrubbed and I'd be mad because I'm like, I done got up and now I got to go to school and it didn't happen. But my favorite space shuttle is the Space Shuttle Discovery. Okay. And I was just with it in June. And I was performing at the Udvar Hazy Hangar, which that was a bucket list. Like to be singing songs about airplanes, surrounded by airplanes, was just amazing. But every time I like stand next to it, I literally get emotional. I'm like, what? Fam, really? You get emotional? But it is my love of it. And the Space Shuttle Discovery is very special because it was the first shuttle to launch after both the Challenger disaster and the Columbia disaster. And so for me, that shuttle meant like know the space shuttle missions, the STS program, it's going to continue to move forward and not be cut off.
Yeah.
And because this shuttle was able to launch and prove that that program could still work. So yeah.
I love that. All right.
I'm not going very fast in my.
No, I mean, no, it's good. We're right on track. Okay. This is gospel roots or R&B influences.
Gospel
I
roots.
have an idea what you're going to say, but I don't know.
I feel like I'm going to say gospel.
That's what I was going to say.
Only because a lot of us, especially like R&B based singers or soul singers, grew up in the church in some capacity. And so a lot of your training and your roots or how you sing.
I hear that influence on your album.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That means a lot. Yeah. I mean, I did do gospel for about 5 or 6 years. Yeah. Now it was kind of like non-traditional gospel, but back to the live singing. Yeah. Like you grew up in the church.
You gotta sing. You gotta sing from the stomach.
Look, that diaphragm has to be engaged. They're gonna hand you that mic. Sing, baby. Sing, and you gotta just get out there and do it. So a lot of us, singers do come up that way. That's our first, performance or, being trained to sing in front of a large group of people. And I do think it influences a lot of what I do. Like if I'm singing something, you're going to hear some hint of that gospel in there.
I love that. All right. Let me get into the questions. So what made you choose aerospace engineering? Like, let's go from the way beginning.
Very beginning, we have to go back to when I was born. Yeah, okay, so I was born in Kaiserslautern, Germany, which was because my father was in the army at the time. And I was born, and 3 weeks later, I was on a plane back to the States. And to me, to this day, now y'all, I'm wearing this little pilot hat, but this noggin, it's a little big. And I always say that it's big because, the compression and contraction that happens on an airplane.
Not the
when
plane.
When it flies through the air, and then like your ears popping and stuff. I was a 3-week-old baby.
I know, that's so
not
young.
3 months, 3 weeks. Like really think about that. It's crazy.
So they don't have rules for like babies flying.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. I'm like, how old? I'm like, surely there's a rule. And so I always ask my mom, like, what were you thinking? She was like, boy, I wasn't caring about you. I was trying to get back home. Okay. I'm trying to get back to Ohio.
Germany.
Both my parents from Ohio, and so. But that has I always go back to that starting point because for me, I've never known a day that I didn't love airplanes, like genuinely. And so I always think like, well, I was on a plane 3 weeks after I was born. So that must be the genesis. That has to be the start of my love, this connection. I cannot scientifically prove that to you, but that is what I always say. And so growing up, I grew up in Tacoma, Washington for like the first 7 years. And we lived near an Air Force base. So there were C-5 Galaxy aircraft that were, these are cargo aircraft that were flying overhead. And I remember looking up as a kid, just like, wow. And then my grandparents flying to SeaTac, the airport in Seattle, Seattle Tacoma Airport. And I'll never forget Delta Airlines, the old livery, the old logo of it. And my grandmother, who still flies on Delta to this day.
My grandma's Southwest. She loves some Southwest.
Come on, everybody's got their favorites, right? Because she's got her miles and all that stuff.
The miles.
And so but I remember just being at the airport and being just, I want to stay. Like, can we stay? Like, I just want to watch the planes. I want to watch the planes. And when I would go home, I would sit at the dining room table and draw airplanes, like the ones that I saw at the airport. And so that is like my earliest memory of actually like loving them and wanting to be around them and always begging my parents, can we go back to the airport? They're like, no, we're not going back to the airport. And then of course they started buying me airplane toys. And then Vancouver is not too far from there in Canada. And so we went there and then I saw water airplanes or seaplanes.
Seaplanes, yeah.
When I saw seaplanes, my mind,
they're so cool.
It was broken. I was like malfunctioning. I couldn't believe like my little kid mind that airplanes could land on water. Like,
my first time seeing a seaplane was like when I moved back to Houston and I started flying out of Hooks Airport and they have a water landing strip and I'm looking at these big giant planes and they have, I don't know what
the pontoons.
Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, those are seaplanes. I've always heard about them, but I've never seen them before. Yeah. They're beautiful. I love them.
It was a majestic thing to see. And then just as a little kid, like I'm already obsessed with these airplanes and then now they're landing on water. Yeah. And then I found out that they could land on ships, like aircraft carriers.
Right.
what? And so I remember telling my dad, I'm going to be in the Navy. I'm going to join the Navy. And he was like, I don't want any of my kids being in the military. And then he's like, if you are going to join the military, you're joining the Air Force, you know, because they take care of their people and all this stuff. And I remember just thinking, no, I'm going into the Navy because I want to land airplanes on ships and like take, you know, launch from the catapult and all that stuff. So yeah, those were some of the earliest memories of me falling in love. And I have a story about an aircraft carrier if you want to hear it later on. You just let me know.
Okay. So let me see. So what was the first aircraft, space mission, or technology that fascinated you?
Man, I think I go back to that C-5 Galaxy and then the commercial airplanes at the airports. That's the other thing too. As an aerospace engineer, you have, you know, in the title it says aerospace.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of people who are very much.
Break it down.
So yeah, like really technically, I probably would have the title of aeronautical. The name of my degree is aerospace engineering, bachelor's of science, but aeronautical really does focus more on the like aircraft of it all. Whereas aerospace, when people hear that, it's like, oh, rocket science, which I did have to take space dynamics and classes about that. But our program at Wichita State, where I went, did lean more into commercial aviation because we're known as the air capital of the world because there's so many different aircraft companies and manufacturers. Thank you.
We're gonna get into it later.
I love that song as well. But like there's so many companies there. And so of course the university supporting that ecosystem of commercial aviation. That's why our program mainly focused on that. But on the aerospace side, if it was more leaning towards the space side of things, you would have more courses on space, on rockets. And then for those who are interested in like fighter jets. So a lot of times when you talk to people who love aerospace, they're gonna lean more towards, I love the military jets, the F-18s, F-15s, the B-2 bomber, you know, I'm gonna love the rockets that are, you know, SpaceX and different things, Blue Origin. But for me, like back to your question, I have just always been fascinated with commercial airplanes, which was, I was always the oddball in my class. Like people are like, what? You like the Boeing 737 or you like the 787 or the A350 or A321? And for me, yeah, those were, and I think, like I said, from a young age, going to the Seattle Tacoma airport and seeing them and just falling in love with them. I was on one flying back to the States. So that's kind of, and then back to the shuttle missions, like watching those, any shuttle mission probably starting in 2006 and up, which was getting towards the end of the program, I was watching, or maybe even 2005, I was watching those and they really got me interested. And that's when I was trying to figure out, like, do you want to go the space route? Do you want to become a pilot?
That's what I was just going to ask you. So what made you decide to just become an engineer instead of being a pilot?
Yeah, I remember, this is a funny.
Because it's so different, because I'm thinking about my upbringing. And honestly, my upbringing was either going to be a nurse, a doctor, lawyer, and since we're in Houston, oil and gas. So it was very, very basic.
Petroleum engineers.
Yeah, it was very basic. And then I'll meet like pilots and they're like, oh yeah, my uncle was a pilot, so that's why I became a pilot. Or my dad was a pilot. And it's always just being a pilot, but your career is just so different. You're like, no, I'm going to become an engineer. So what made you decide, no, I don't want to be a pilot.
I'm curious. I'm curious too. So did you meet somebody and they said like, this is what a pilot is, and you decide you want to do it, or I know it's your podcast. I'm just curious. Though. I'm curious.
So I've been in aviation for 4 years, but I was always doing like customer service, or I was a flight attendant.
Oh,
and
okay.
One random day, I decided to move to DC. Off a whim. And then I met so many other people in aviation. I met other flight attendants that were like, oh yeah, I'm training to become a pilot. And I met guys that I was working with on the ramp like, oh yeah, I'm training to become a pilot. I'm like, maybe I should look into this. And so I started doing my research and I'm like, okay, I think that's what I want to do. It don't really take too much for me to think about something.
And then
I just
jump
do
right
it.
in. Yeah.
I just do it.
That's amazing. But okay, so you kind of had that exposure though as a flight attendant.
Right.
And then,
but I was a grown adult. Like
but I love that because I'm gonna answer your question, but I just love the pivots in life. That's something that I have really leaned into in my life. And I was just telling my family members here in Houston that I met up with before coming here, of just the young cousins that I have, like, they're ones getting ready to go to college, step into their senior year of high school. And I'm like, don't limit yourself.
Yeah, don't limit
like
yourself.
think about what you want to do and pursue that thing.
Yeah.
But if at any point you want to do something different, it's okay to do something different. So
Child,
audience, it is okay to pivot.
I love a good pivot.
Right. So,
I love a good pivot.
but what initially started the aerospace was I did go to my dad and I was like, I think I was a sophomore in high school. And I was like, okay, I got this dilemma. He's like, what's going on? I was like, I don't know if I want to be a pilot or an aerospace engineer. And I'm just trying to figure out. And it was this.
So mature as a sophomore.
Everybody said that to me growing up. They were like, you're so wise beyond your years. I've gotten that my whole life. And kind of, there's reasons behind that. We ain't got to delve all the way. But yes, I was very much this like serious, kid trying to like I had all my classes lined up freshman year for my whole high school career.
What?
It was doing the most.
That's
doing
good.
The most. But and I've always been a visionary, not in an egotistical way, but just like someone who really like if I see something in my head or a dream, like I can actually see it. And then to your point, like what you do, I want to go get it.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to stay too long thinking about okay, but how do we make the next move to progress and get to it? But after that conversation, I ended up going to I grew up in Raytown, Missouri, a suburb of Kansas City, Missouri. And right across the border in Kansas, a city called Olathe, it's probably 40 minutes away. They had an airport and they had an ad. The youngins won't know, but people our age and up will know the Yellow Pages still existed. Yeah. And every time the airplane nerd in me, every time we got a new Yellow Pages, I would go to the A section and I would stay there for 30 minutes just looking at the ads for airlines. Because it was before we got our family computer, it was a way to look at airplane pictures. Yeah. I was obsessed with airplanes, still am. And so I saw an ad that said $65 intro flight if you want to, do that. And so I asked my mom, if I save up my McDonald's money, because I was working at McDonald's at the time, can I do this for my 16th birthday? And so for my 16th birthday, I got to go in a Diamond D20 bubble canopy at KCAC, the airport in Olathe, Kansas. And the pilot allowed me to like, okay, when I tell you push the throttle forward and pull back on the stick. And it was just like, oh my gosh, like it was just the coolest thing. He let me do some maneuvers in the air. And so that was a part of my exploration process of like, is this what I want to do or do I want to do something else? And I think what ultimately led me to aerospace engineering was the design factor. So I was going back to that child at that dining room table, drawing planes. And I'm like, I want to design planes. I don't know. I want to be a part of how they look. Yeah. Like I want to, do all of that. And so
you were really thinking outside the box.
And at the time you really couldn't YouTube.
Yeah.
I was on Ask Jeeves, like, what is aerospace engineers? What do they do? And it was my dad being in the military who gave me the terminology. Okay. Because I didn't know what. And I think he came home one day and was like, aeronautical engineering. I think that's what. And it's because he used to sample fuel in a lab for aircraft, trucks, vehicles. That was his job in the military. It wasn't until my adult life that I was like, oh, he was kind of in STEM and I didn't know this. Right. I had no idea. Their lab actually got a presidential medal for sampling fuel for Air Force One for President Reagan. I was like, when was you gonna tell me all this? Like, I had no idea, but
you were aligned.
And so, so he gave me that, when he gave me that word, aeronautical engineer, I was off to the races. Yeah. And so that kind of made me say, I want to go into it. Now, I will say, my math, not the strongest. So everyone kept saying like, there's a lot of math. Are you sure? Are you sure? And I'd be like, yeah, I'm sure. Even though I'm like, I don't think I'm the strongest at math. I did enjoy science. So that was helpful. But yeah, that kind of, I was like, I want to design these commercial airplanes. Like these planes that I love, I want to be a part of designing the future of them. Can they be more eco-friendly? Can they have better fuel consumption so that airlines can drop the prices so that, because I'll come from a family of 5. And so I'm like, we never get to fly anywhere. So that was also a part of some of the thought process. But that ended up leading me to say, I want to pursue this and go into this career field.
How do you, because I'm just looking at your energy. I'm reading your energy. Came out here to Houston. We're doing this. We're doing this. And I'm looking at your Instagram, like you are hustling, like you're work. Like, where do you get your work ethic from? Like, what is driving you?
Yeah, I think that is a great question. Actually, not too many people have asked me that question. So shout out to you for that. And I think in short, I would say, one, I just feel, especially now in my life, I feel so grateful and lucky to be doing what I'm doing. Prior to us starting the podcast, I was telling you, like, I was in Houston at a conference for Society of Women Engineers on behalf of my corporate company I was working for. And, those were days in industry where I was dreaming of wanting to do music full time, which is like, what? You just told us you wanted to be an aerospace engineer. Back to that pivot, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
But I had always been doing, singing from a young age. And once I kind of got to college and started experiencing, oh, people really do love your voice. And that like shifted something like, oh, I actually could do this. Did I know it was going to manifest into STEM music, like STEM and music and singing together? No. But getting to do this full time, I just don't take it for granted. And I also think about when people say, live now, like when you're on your deathbed, do you want to say, I just like, I want to try to live every single day intentionally, people say like it's your last, that could be dark a little bit, but to your point, intentionally. And I am a person of intention. Like I really do want to try. So any show I'm doing, or even coming out here for this opportunity, it's like, how can you continue to expand your brand, showcase your music, showcase your story? Because there's somebody else who might be watching and being like, oh, I have permission to pivot now. I can do something different. And I think the other thing, once I crossed 30, I just turned 34, a couple weeks ago.
Happy birthday. Happy belated.
Thank you. And so I think when I crossed 30, I also was thinking, you have giftings that really do impact people. Not just your singing voice, but how you talk to people, how you see people, how you show up in the world. And so let's not waste that. Let's make sure, it's a God-given thing. Like my gifts, I believe, are from God.
Yes.
And so I want to do my best to honor God in sharing them with the world and encouraging people, inspiring people, and just trying to make people feel seen. Like, not to get too dark, but like, I'm Black, Puerto Rican, and Mexican. I'm gay. All of those things combined growing up, you sometimes could feel, at least for me, like you're not seen. You're not cared for. I had a roof over my head, food in my stomach, clothes on my back, all the things. But emotionally, it was just like, who's caring for me? Who's seeing me? And I think that I'm actually in grad school right now pursuing a master's, which is, how am I doing all this stuff? I don't know. Where's the sleep? I don't know. But in one of the classes, we were talking about culturally responsive teaching. That was what the course was about. And as I was going through that course, I was like, wow, I feel like I now have the terminology that goes along with how I've been showing up as an educator. And I think when I look at my story, I'm showing up the way that I'm showing up because I was the kid who wasn't seen, or I was the kid from a different background that maybe not everybody understood. So I want to do that for children, adults. Like, that's just how I want to move through the world. And I'm just truly grateful that I get to do this.
Right.
Like, man, it's wild when you're living your dreams. Like, I'm flying to Houston for a day to do a podcast. I happen to get to see family for breakfast, meet with a dope podcaster in person in aviation. And I'm like, what? I'm literally living the dream. So I'm very grateful. That's where the energy comes from. Gratitude.
Being grateful. And I love that you said, like, you get your I'm trying to find a word. I guess skills from God. Like, God is telling you, because I was talking to someone the other day and I'm like, God gave me these dreams and it's my duty to fulfill the dream. Like, that's how I'm coming. Like, it is my duty to do it.
I just watched a podcast with Oprah and Keke Palmer.
Oh my God. I only seen the clips, but it's amazing.
You got to watch the whole thing. But she literally was saying that like it's a injustice to yourself to not follow the thing that you have been purposed to do. And a lot of people I know ask that question, like, but how do you know what you're purposed to do? Because some people, you feel like, for me at least, it seems very clear. Like, first I was like, it's singing. And really what I read is taking care of an audience. So you're my audience. Even though we're on this together, you're interviewing me, you're my current audience, right? The sound person who's doing it, that's my current audience, okay? And then if I'm hosting, if I'm doing a concert, if I'm teaching, it's how do I take care of an audience? And that's something I get so much joy from doing. So I know, okay, that's the purpose. It manifests in these different ways.
Exactly.
And so I think sometimes people just have to pay attention.
You have to pay attention.
Pay attention to what you're good at.
Yes.
Pay attention to what you enjoy, and pay attention to what people say, you know what? You're kind of good at this thing.
Right, and it's a little easy. It come a little easy to you.
And to your point about energy, something that gives you energy in life. The moment you see someone start talking about certain things and you see them light up, you're like,
There you go.
That's it right there.
Right,
So
right.
yeah, I think it's something so incredibly important. And like you were saying, and what I just saw on that podcast of like, you're not serving yourself and others well if you're stepping away or not fulfilling that purpose. And the other thing too, I think sometimes when you hear the word purpose, you're like, oh my God, like it's got to be this huge grand thing. I was just doing a show in Tulsa in a library and had maybe 10 kids. And when I tell you I finished that show and this family from Iran, they came up to me and they're like speaking broken English. The grandmother was so moved. And I was thinking to myself, like, you asked where the energy comes from? That. What she was like, thank you so much. I could tell she couldn't say any other words in English.
Yeah.
And she just kept saying thank you. And she was grabbing my hand. And I'm thinking, what? Like, I'm just doing a children's music show, but I know that I'm in purpose. And I know that that's God is flowing through me in servicing these babies. And, you know, we singing down too.
Yeah, we're singing down.
We're not doing the itsy bitsy spider.
No, this is no Miss. No, I'm not even gonna say that.
So I think that's another
Miss Rachel, child.
and we need Miss Rachel.
We do need Miss Rachel.
We need everyone in this space. But
and we need Gracie Corner.
By the way,
we need Roy.
And that's the thing too. I love that you're saying that because that's another great point for your audience. We need everyone.
We do.
So stop trying to be so and so and so and so and so.
Everybody has a lane.
Everyone's got their lane, and I had to learn that when I stepped into. I know we talk about the music later, but when I stepped into that space, coming from gospel and R&B, I'm like, oh no, do I need to do I need to shrink and do I need to make my voice sound a certain way to fit in this group? And I'm so grateful for that, the children's music community. I mean, it's an amazing community. They were like, no, Roy, sing your songs. Like,
how big is let's go into music.
Yeah.
Let's just start into it.
I know, I'm just taking us all over.
No, it's good. How big is the children music community?
It's a very large but small community, very tight knit. It's like everybody knows everybody, or you're like 2 degrees from the next person. Somebody knows somebody, and it's very much connected. And I would say that about the music industry at large. Like, it's huge, but people be knowing people. And so that's why your reputation, back to your point of hard work, like I have mentors of mine. I get to go back to Maine this fall. And the first time I went was because they recommended me. Why? Because they know I'm going to show up. I'm going to give a great show. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to be kind to the people in the theater that I'm, performing at, all the things. So there's children music artists are everywhere. That's the thing that a lot of people don't realize. I mean, in the Northeast, in the, in the Southwest, in Florida,
I didn't know how big it was.
All across the country, we exist. We do. And doing library shows, children's museums, STEM festivals, family festivals, schools, of course. And so the really cool thing is everyone is like down to earth. There are like no egos.
Yeah,
it's a part of the music industry that, one, I didn't know existed, but
it's still pure.
It's very pure. And you would hope that,
it needs to be
you would
pure.
hope because you're dealing with children.
Right.
And I was like, I don't know. And so there's an organization called the Children's Music Network Conference.
Oh, wow.
Or network, yeah. And so they have a conference every year. And so I went to my first one in Chicago 2 years ago, and I was like, I was just like, I don't know, like, how are these people gonna be? And they were so warm and welcoming. Also still adults and humans. So that we want to go have a good time. But you can tell everyone's soul and heart is like for the kids and wanting to like just do a great job for them, to teach them, to love on them, to educate them. We be singing all of our songs. Like there's like a round robin that happens at the end of that conference. So everybody gets to go up and do a song. And so we're like, you're hearing all these children's songs and everyone in the audience is like jumping in. Like,
I know you be rocking the stage down.
Oh my gosh.
I already know.
I call myself the Jennifer Hudson of the Children's Music Network Conference because anytime they anytime they have a tribute, they're like, is Roy here? We need Roy for the tribute. Oh, and then last year they were like, it was in LA, and they were like, can we end with this little light of mine? And I said, now y'all, it's a couple ways you could do this little light of mine. You could do this little light of mine. Or we could, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. They were like, we want that one. I said, okay. I just want to make sure. But yeah, so, and I love that. I love that I can show up for them in that way to honor those who came before us, who laid the groundwork. But it's a wonderful community that allows us to just thrive and grow and connect and put you on to different, environments or venues, people who will recommend you, projects that I've been on, like, I don't know, One Tribe Collective. So that was a collective group that I am a part of still to this day. We made an album called All One Tribe. It got nominated for a Grammy. And we
Yeah,
got
I
to go
was
to the
gonna ask
Grammys.
you, the people on your album, are they part of your group? Because I heard
So
some rapping and then some
yeah,
singing from a
yeah.
female. So
So on the current album that I just put out, that one is really all like Wichita based, which is really special. Artists. Yeah. A lot of the featured artists
okay.
on the project, I call it a Wichita album. Like it
Yeah.
really is. And that wasn't what I was trying to do. But
Mhm.
as I kept making each song, we had summer camps involved. We have elementary schools, throughout the city involved. And I was like, this is really becoming a Wichita album. And so a lot of those folks are on the project are from Wichita. The only people who are not are some people who are doing background vocals on the song Airplane Controls. And
Mhm.
so some of those people on the background vocals are from the One Tribe Collective group
Okay.
that, I got brought into back in 2021, I want to say 2020, 2021. And so, yeah, it's just nice to collab. I also have all 4 of my living grandparents are on the
I
album
love that.
and my
Oh yeah,
parents.
I was like, he getting his Drake on with the
With the interlude.
yeah. I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
I love
Thank you.
this.
Yeah. And that was special to me because I got all of those audio notes in person. So I traveled to every
Mm,
city that they live in and
yes.
got to like just spend time with them and get to tell them about this vision for this project. And then like, I call it my lullaby. Like every time I listen
Mm,
to that, I'm like just about to be in tears because they're like pouring into me and they're pouring into others of telling
yeah.
people like, go fly. Like you were born to do great things. So go do
Right.
those great things. Yeah.
Tell me before STEM Music Flight. Tell me about the transition. Okay, you were in
Mm,
R&B. You're an aerospace engineer. When did you decide? All right, I want to combine the two. Like, what? When was
yeah.
that moment?
That moment was 2016. And for those, just
Mm.
because I know sorry, y'all, I've been taking this podcast all over
It's okay.
because I just be yapping. But just for a little bit of my aerospace background. So what I ended up doing was going into industry. I worked at a company called Spirit Aerosystems, which is now back to Boeing Wichita. So it was
Mhm.
Boeing Wichita. Then 2005, it became Spirit Aerosystems and a tier 1 aerostructure supplier. And then now it's back to Boeing Wichita as of December of this 2025. And so I was a structural design engineer. So I got to design different parts on different airplanes. The plane I
Mm.
spent the most time on was the Boeing 777X, which is the Boeing 777-9 is the title now. But it's in flight test and it's supposed to go into service in 2027 with Lufthansa. We gonna see because there's a lot of stuff going on in the flight test program.
I
But
love how you said I say
Lufthansa, I know
I do not say it like that at all.
that's the German in me, born
Yeah,
in
because I be
Germany.
like Lufthansa,
And,
Lufthansa.
and I'm still probably not saying it right too, like Lufthansa. But yeah, that's just my way of saying it. But yeah, they're supposed to be the first customer for delivery. So I spent a lot of time in the Ford section on any Boeing aircraft. Fun fact for the audience: any Boeing aircraft, Section 41 is the Ford section of a Boeing aircraft.
Mm.
So I worked on Section 41 on the crown frames. And so designed detailed parts like stringer clips and shear ties and standoffs, and then got into actually designing some of the frame structure as well. And so I did that for 6 years? The 737 MAX 8 as an intern. There's a little C channel bracket that I designed. So anytime I'm on
Yeah.
like a Southwest 737 MAX, I'm like, in the front of this airplane, there's a C channel bracket that holds an electrical box installation. And my name's on the drawing, which is something that, like, as a kid, that was my first dream. Like, I wanted to design airplanes. And so it's like, it didn't manifest in the way that I thought, because I love the whole plane. So when
Mm.
I'm like designing brackets and stuff, I'm like, wait a minute, where's the whole plane? But it's still amazing that I got to be a part of doing that. So I did that for 6 years. Then I pivoted to HR. And some may say, what? Like, where did that come from?
Mhm.
I think as I was working, not I think, I know, as I was working as an engineer, what happened was my very first year, 2015, of working at Spirit Aerosystems, I also put out my very first R&B EP.
Okay.
So that was my very first original music. And I had a concert and a lot of people came. And I went to bed that night and I cried myself to sleep because I was like, I actually want to do this.
Yeah.
This is what I want to do.
Right.
And so I was like, but you got student loans.
Mhm.
You also done got this degree. Like, you're gonna go work as an aerospace engineer.
Did you feel pressured by anybody from the outside? Like, no, you need to stick to this career. Why are you trying to get into music?
That's a great question. I don't think so, because I think everybody thought like, wow, you actually went and did this thing, you know? So there was little pressure from like family or parents or anything to do it. Cause I know some people have the story where their parents are like, you must do engineering, doctor, medical school or something, you know? So I didn't have that pressure, but it was a sense of like, you accomplished this thing, this childhood dream, like you should do, and you're broke because you're a college student, like you ain't got no money.
Right.
So you need to, you know, go do this thing. And even as I was designing those parts and things that I was telling you about, it still wasn't as fulfilling as I wanted it to be. And that became a struggle of like, this is beginning to feel like I'm swimming upstream in mud.
Interesting.
And that's always a part of the story I always want to be transparent about, because although I was fulfilling a dream, it was like not, like I said, I wanted to see the whole plane. And so I'm like looking at, like, if we're looking at this table, just look at the bottom of that leg every day, like, you know? And so it's different. And that doesn't mean that there aren't other areas in aerospace engineering, like flight test and research and technology and materials, you know, and composites and all these. So there's other areas I could have explored. But in 2015, when I was starting as an aerospace engineer, that's when the music dream was like, oh no, I think I really want to do this. I auditioned for American Idol when I was 15 years old.
Wow.
Did not make it through any round. So I thought people were lying to me in Raytown, Missouri. Like, you can't sing. When I got to college, I sang a national anthem for the basketball team and the arena goes crazy. And then, so that's when I was like, I think I actually want to do this singing thing. They weren't lying to me. Okay. Go to HR. And I helped lead the college internship program, and I helped recruit engineers. So that kind of was a pivot because I was wanting to quit my job. I was like, I'm done. I want to do this music thing. And my mentors, which y'all grab some mentors. That's a story for another day, but mentors are very powerful and important.
Very much
and they
so.
were like, back to what we were saying, what are you good at? They saw something in me and they were like, no, we got to keep him. We got to keep him. And so they pitched it to me and I'm like, talent acquisition? I didn't go to school for this. What? They were like, we think you would be great. Someone's leaving the company. Next thing you know, I go through the process, interview, I get the job, and I just blossomed. Like, it was like a caterpillar in a cocoon, just like, and I'm all over LinkedIn. I'm leading the college internship program. We were top 100 intern program in the country 2 years in a row. I mean, it was just like, and it was cool because I got to take my engineering knowledge of working as an engineer, and 80% of our interns were engineering interns. So I got to talk to them and tell them like, this is what it is. This is what the experience is like. Get them in. And then, so all while I'm doing that, I was doing gospel, R&B. What happened is 2016, I'm in a nonprofit volunteering, and we had young Black boys. I was with the 4th graders and 5th graders. So we would do like life lessons. And then sometimes they would call on me to do STEM activities. So like egg drop or, you know, straw rockets or whatever. And so one day the executive director comes to me. He's like, Roy, we need you to do a math lesson. I said, oh, back to this math. I don't.
Oh, this math.
Because I have a math minor, because we have to take so much math as an engineering student. And so they're like, we just need you to teach them a math lesson because we won this grant and it's a requirement. So I'm like, oh, these kids, they're going to be like, we're not doing this. So that forced me to get creative. And so I was like, I'm going to take this song that's really hot right now and I'm going to remix it. So the song was Watch Me Whip, Watch Me Nay Nay. And I remixed
especially around that time.
It was huge.
So
I remixed it to Watch Me Solve the equation, watch me solve. And I rewrote the whole song, put an algebra equation in the song. And I remember going to the class and I said, all right, y'all, we have a math lesson tonight. Boo! Everyone's just booing. I said, give me a second though. I want to perform something. And they knew I sang and stuff. And so I performed that song. The room was like electric. You talk about energy. I remember finishing and just like, and then the kids were running up to the whiteboard, fighting over the marker. No, I want to do it. No, I was like, something happened in this room. They were even singing it when the lesson was over and we were waiting in the parking lot for their parents to pick them up. They're still, watch me solve, hey. And I was like, and so that was like a defining moment of like, okay, you got to really look into this. So 2019 is when I started STEMusic. Then 2021 is when I get into HR. And so I'm still doing this STEMusic thing along the way. And then that was kind of like, this is in the pandemic, as we all know, no artist was touring. Nobody was doing anything.
Nope.
I thought STEMusic was dead because I started it in November 1st of 2019. So I only had a couple months. Next thing you know, the world shut down. And then I started getting like requests for people like, oh, we want you to do a virtual performance. I'm like, what? So then I'm singing to my MacBook
Yeah.
in my apartment, making money. I'm like,
hold on.
Then the children's music industry finds me and they're like, no, you one of us, you know? And so then and so as I kept working, I started getting more busy. I'm like, okay, this is a lot. And it eventually led to me saying like, okay, God, when is the time? And by the way, I had been wanting to quit my job since 2015 when I did that, concert and fell in love, like, oh, this is actually what I want to do. And so I finally got the blessing in August of 2023.
Wow.
Through a book. I was going to read to some kids in a park through Storytime Village. It's a great nonprofit in Wichita. And they champion reading literacy, and these young kids, they're actually getting ready to have their summit right now as we record this, and they get to make their own book and get it illustrated and everything. So she was like, I'm praying, I'm yelling at God at this time. I know y'all. We have a relationship. It's the whole thing. I'm like, when can I quit my job? I'm just ready. Because at that time,
I had that moment the other day.
Because I had been blossoming in HR. And so I'm like, this is awesome. But at the same time, I'm using a lot of my creative energy and all this stuff. And I'm like, what if I was using it in STEM music? I feel like
it'll take off.
Yeah. Right. And so I'm like, this is frustrating. And so I'm like, I've been obedient. I've stuck it. In Jesus' name, amen. I take the 5-minute drive to the park, and the book was called Jabari Jumps. And that was like, jump. And it was so clear. And I was like, okay, 2 weeks. I'll put my 2 weeks in now. God was like, no, you're not. You're going to wait a whole year.
Ooh.
Jesus, help me. And it was because God was like, I need you to hand this off the right way. Like I knew the context of the whole group and me leaving. Like I was a giant in that space. You need to train up the next person. And what I also didn't recognize, because, we be trying to run things. Like, God, get in the passenger seat. Let me drive this thing. He was building up all of my clientele and stuff so that when I jumped in September of 2024, I went on my very first national tour. That doesn't happen without staying that extra year, building up the finances and the relationships and all this stuff. And so that is, so it was, I had been trying to decide all along that I wanted to switch and make this transition, but it wasn't until August of 2023 when I got that blessing and then had to work that whole year and go for it. And haven't looked back ever since. Yeah.
I love that. That is so inspiring. Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
All right. So I wanted to show the audience your album, Woo! STEMusic Takes Flight.
Yes.
So my favorite song is Let's Make a Plane.
Hey, let's make a plane. Different parts and different pieces. Hey, let's make a plane. Let's make a plane. If we're gonna fly, we're gonna need them. Let's make a plane. And that little girl, let's make a plane. Let's make a plane.
I love it.
She was one of the girls from our summer camp last summer. And she did cadence. She did such a great job on that part. And it was so fun to work with. These were sophomore students in high school and who committed to making a children's music album.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they got to come in and like, oh, we're going to make some, music that's our age. Right. I challenged like, no, the part of this, we got a grant for this to help start this album. So 3 of the songs on the album were funded by this grant called the Arts Thrive Grant.
Okay.
And it was in partnership with Arts Partners, which is a nonprofit in Wichita, and I'm a teaching artist for them. So my business is for profit and you needed a nonprofit partner. And so I came together with them to make it. And so they were like, what if we do a summer camp and we work on some songs? I said, but it's going to be for children's music. You think she was like, they're getting paid, they're getting experience and they're getting exposure to things, not just singing, but like how to make a beat, how to record in the studio, how to do video, all these different things. And so she was one of the kids, cadence, and she was a little shy and stuff like that. And so it was fun to work with her to be like, no, you got this. And to hear her voice on the song. And
she sounded amazing. Amazing.
Oh, I'm so happy.
Oh my God, y'all. I was listening to this album in the car earlier this week. I was jamming. Like, yes, it's for children, but like the beat selection, like the way you produced this.
Thank you.
Who made the beats? Like, or did you make the beats?
No, there's so many different producers on this project. Okay. There's like 5.
Oh my God. Yeah, so it's amazing.
Young C, Corey Rolfe is one of the producers. Sam Thompson, Cam.
Shout out to them.
Yeah, it's so many that came together. Paul.
Yeah.
Man, his studio's in like a tiny home thing. I mean, so there was so many different, and that's why I said it's like a Wichita album because these are all Wichita producers. There's even one who's like she's a student right now to become a producer, and she did some of the mixing on the song Park the Plane. And so, yeah, they came together with these beats. And that's one thing about me. I want to move. Even if it's a slow song or, fast, I want the beat to be something that you can feel.
Yeah,
and
I
you're
definitely
gonna move
felt
to.
it.
So if it ain't moving me, it can't be on the project.
Yeah. Another favorite song is Take a Flight. I love that because of the breathing exercise in the middle. Because when you did that, the first time I heard it and you was like, breathe in, I was doing it. I'm like, oh, this is calming my nerves.
Oh my gosh, that is such a blessing to hear you say that. First of all, thank you for listening to the album. And that song.
I sent it to all my friends. I'm like, girl, this album is so good.
Thank you so much. Yes. That means so much. Like, don't make me cry up in here, okay? Because I feel like you're someone who is like sat with the music. Like, and I haven't, because it just came out, a month ago. So I really haven't talked to anyone who's listened like that. And so that song is very special because it's with my niece. So Zari is my niece. Her name is Jazara, but we call her Zari. And so of course she gets it honestly, like, because my sister sings as well. And so that's her daughter.
Okay.
And
so your whole family, do you come from a family of singers?
Kind of, like,
oh, wow.
So it comes from my grandfather. So my namesake, Roy Moye Sr., and then my dad, and then me. My sister sings. My brother sings a little bit too. He was more of the athlete, but definitely me and my sister. We were like the choir kids, all the things. So her daughter, my niece, she gets it, and she's like a star. Like, she genuinely loves it. Like, she wants to be on the stage. She wants to be in front of people. Period. And we had so much fun making it. It was like Thanksgiving break last year, and we made that song. But the breathing exercise, shout out to Paul James, one of the producers in the tiny home studio. We were making it, and he was telling me about he's a breathing coach. Like, he specializes. He was talking about how it regulates the system. And I said,
I need to go to him because sometimes I forget to breathe. I'm not going to lie.
No, for real. Like, and he one of the things he was telling me was like, you need to spend more time exhaling. So a lot of people go like, breathe in, and then,
yeah.
And he's like, you need to breathe in, and then.
Oh yeah, we do this in yoga.
You got to like spend that time on the breathing out the carbon dioxide that's coming out. And so when he was telling me about that, I said, I literally have written a part in the song because turbulence, it freaks people out. Okay, I love flying, so I'm like, let's ride the turbulence. Now, sometimes it do be getting a little crazy. And I be like, all right now, Jesus. Now,
you start looking at the person.
This air disturbance is going on. I'm like, I know this airplane is designed to, work this way.
Right.
But even for me, sometimes it can be, it's very rare, but still. So I can only imagine for someone who's terrified of it. And so I remember a friend of mine saying, like, I was going up in the arch in St. Louis, and them little pods are so small. I said, and so I remember her telling me to breathe. And so when I was talking to him, he said, well, I'm a breathing coach. Like, this is what I was like, what? He's so talented. And so when we got to that part in the song, I said, I think we should do some breathing exercises. And he was like, well, if we're going to do them, we need to like do a 4 count in and a 4. We're not going to go. And so, because I was breathing fast at first in the song, because I'm like, it's a song. He was like, no. And so shout out to him, because he really produced that part, like breathe in. And he made me do it like 4 times.
Yeah, get it right.
Like get that take right so that the breathing in it. So it makes me so happy that you were actually breathing with it. And that's my hope. My genuine hope is for kids and adults alike. If you have a fear of flying, or if you're just anxious, or you got a kid and you're trying to teach them what to expect on a flight, that song is so good because it walks through. And you were a flight attendant.
Yeah.
Do you hear that part at the end? We got to clean up, throw our trash away, don't want to leave. I was thinking about the flight attendants.
Yeah, I love that part.
So it's a great song for kids who it's their first flight, because that's what inspired it. My niece took her first flight last summer. Oh. So when my mom told me about that, I was like, oh, maybe I could write a song about that. And then I ran into someone else who was telling me how her daughter's first flight was horrible. When she told me that, I was like, oh, this is a sign from God. Like, I got to write this song. I sent it a cappella to her because they were about to go on another trip. And she was like, we're dancing to it in the kitchen. It was a cappella. And so I was like, it's supposed to be made so that more people can listen and feel better.
Yeah.
Even the song Airplane Forces, I performed that because that was the first single off the album last year. And when I performed it at the Children's Music Network conference, there were so many people after the conference coming up to me saying, I gotta fly home today, and I'm gonna be singing that lift, weight, thrust, and drag, forces that air. Because now I know like what's happening. And so it makes me feel better about flying. And I'm like, that was not what I was intending, in making this. But if that's what it does as well, like, let's go. Because ultimately, this album is an album that I think I wanted as a kid.
Mm.
I didn't realize that until it was done. Like when I was listening to it all the way through, I was like, the younger me would have just like
loved it.
Oh, I mean,
ate it up.
I love it right now, but it's like,
yeah.
man. So if I can help others fall in love with aviation from a career standpoint, or just to like enjoying flying or experiencing flying better, that's a win.
Yeah. I love that. I love that for you. My second favorite song is Air Capital of the World.
Hey, air capital of the world. Hey, air capital of the world.
I love it.
That's another song that came out of the camp, the summer camp, Generation STEAM.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got different kids rapping on the song. I mean,
so those were kids rapping on the song.
Yes, these are not adults.
I thought these were grown people.
These are sophomores.
What?
These are sophomores. And
that.
some of their flows were just like, I didn't really do a lot of coaching. There's even the second verse in there.
These new kids are something else though.
For real. And you know, they have a lot of access to.
They do.
We didn't have as much access to a studio or to, I mean, you can use your phone to record stuff now, right? And so, but they're still very talented.
They're very
talented.
I
was having so much fun in that camp because I would say like, well, let's try this. And we wrote this song. Like we sat at whiteboards and brainstormed like, what should this lyric be? And they really leaned in because you're telling kids like, yeah, we're going to do some hip hop, but it's not, it's going to be about children's stuff.
It's
and
not
it's going to be
about
boy. It's going to be about aviation.
Right.
And the fact that they said, you know what, Mr. Roy, we're going to lean into this with you and write it with you. And when you listen to that song, it may sound good and you know, vocally and the raps and stuff, but the content is actual, truthful, factual content about how Wichita, Kansas became the air capital of the world. And that's what I love about it. It's technically correct too. And there's some wordplay in there and all kinds of stuff of talking about the history of all these aircraft companies like Cessna, Beechcraft, right? Boeing, that all started and sprung up in Wichita, Kansas. Boeing, you know, somewhere else, but a big
I didn't even know
plant of Boeing started in Wichita, producing. You said your mom loves Southwest Airlines.
My grandma.
Your grandmother loves Southwest Airlines. The fuselage, which I know you know what that is. Everybody else, that fuselage, the part that everybody sits in, that there's a production line of that in Wichita, 47 being pumped out a month from Wichita, Kansas. And they go up to Renton for final assembly. People don't know that.
That's amazing. I did not know that.
Yeah, so that, and then you have Cessna, you have Beechcraft, Bombardier Learjet, like all of these companies started in Wichita, Kansas. Or if they didn't start there, a big plant was put there. And so that's why it became known as the air capital of the world. And the mom and pop shops that are the suppliers with fasteners or certain parts and stuff like that. So it was so cool to be in this summer camp and teaching these kids who are born and raised in Wichita. Like, this is something you can be proud of. Yeah. And it's from your hometown. And so I love it. Yeah, that song. And then at the very end, the little babies you hear, they're from the Seeds of Life Summer Camp, which is a church that I used to attend. They have this summer camp every summer. They always want me to come in and do STEM stuff. I did it with my corporate job, but I've also started to do it with STEM music. And so I was like, y'all want to sing something to be on the end of this song? And they're like, yeah. And so just hearing them at the end, oh, it's just, I love the way that song ends. Yeah. So very proud of that song and just grateful. We even shot a music video too. So you can even see some of that history in the music video.
I love that. So I always ask a very deep question at the end. So here's the question. What legacy do you hope to leave through both your aerospace career and your music?
Man, that's a great question. Man, I think a big legacy I would love to leave is just the fact that I tried to open doors for more children and people to get into aerospace, to get into music. But as it relates to like science, technology, engineering, and math, specifically Black and brown kids, like being Black, Puerto Rican, and Mexican and working in the corporate environment, office of 40 to 60 engineers and being the only one, or maybe there was 3 of us in the room, is wild. Like it's wild. Wow. And that was like 2020, 2019, 27. That's not that far, long ago. And so I would love to leave a legacy. And that's, big reason why I built STEMusic and created it was to try to get more Black and brown kids and girls interested in STEM and engaged and to feel seen and to know that if this is something that I want to go into, I can go into it. Because someone who looks like me, from a background like me, is telling me this is something I can do. And I'm seeing like, oh, wow, they did it. You know, and so I think that would be an amazing legacy to leave. It's like one that I tried to make sure that people felt seen, heard, and valued.
Right.
But also to just kick those doors open and allow more to come into STEM. And then I think on the music side of just showing that you can lean into something unique within music.
Yes.
If somebody would have told me, you know what's really going to allow you to do music full time is combining STEM and music.
What?
What? Like, I'm here thinking I'm about to be the next Usher. Like, what? like, I'm thinking I'm about to be, you know, the next Miguel or whatever, you know? And it's like, no, you're not going to be the next. You're going to be Roy the third. Because that's all you can be. And so I think that's another thing from a legacy standpoint is just letting people know that you can lean into who you are and what your gifts are and what value you bring to the table. And it can actually work for you and take you places, you know, beyond like getting to go to the Grammys because I created STEM music. What? That was not, that's when they say like, tell God your dreams and he gonna laugh, you know, or don't limit God. I had no idea that, okay, I created this company, then I get pulled into the children's music industry. Then they say, oh, we're going to create this One Tribe collective of Black family children's music artists. George Floyd was murdered and we want to write some songs to honor him, but also write all kinds of songs. So then we make this album, All One Tribe, 25 songs on it.
Yeah.
And they're all different topics. Yes, some of it was social justice, but other things like my song, Black Lives Made STEM History, honoring all these like, you know, history makers in STEM from a Black background. And then that album goes on to get nominated and we're all at the Grammys. We made this over Zoom.
What?
Yes, because it was in the panorama.
Yeah.
And so we are all at the Grammys, a lot of us meeting each other for the first time in April of 2022. They had it in Vegas that year because of the restrictions in LA and all the stuff going on. And I just remember being there like, this is all because of STEM music. Like this is all because I leaned into this thing where I combined both of these things. And several of my mentors, one in particular, Dr. K. Muck Morgan, in college, I worked for her and she was the advisor for NSBE, National Society of Black Engineers, our chapter. She would always tell me like, Roy, you're going to do both. You can do both. And I'm like, I remember like, but what is like, how you do both?
Yeah.
And I thought I was doing both because I was an R&B artist and a gospel artist while working as an engineer. And then when STEM music was born, it was like, oh.
You're actually doing both.
And there was this guy, this producer in college. This is good for your audience because like sometimes when you have a dream or something and it doesn't happen right away, y'all, you can't give up. You can't give up and you have to be open to it looking a different way or going a different way. I'm a sophomore in college. This producer comes and he's a speaker for the Office of Multicultural Affairs. They brought him in and he worked with Bruno Mars, Eminem. So when I found out he was coming, I'm about to be signed.
Yeah.
I'm pulling him aside after the thing. I'm asking, I'm gonna sing for him. And that's exactly what I did. I pulled him aside, I sang for him. And he was like, you have a beautiful voice. I'm thinking like, okay, but where are you about?
Yeah. What's up?
And so then I'm like, ask him a question. I'm like, so what should I be doing right now? Like, I feel like I kind of want to drop out, move to Atlanta.
Yeah, everybody wants to go to Atlanta.
Wait some table, because that's the R&B mecca.
Yeah,
you know, I'm like,
yeah.
So I'm like, and he's looking at me as I'm saying that, and he's like, he said, and you said your major is aerospace engineering? I said, yeah, but you know, I just know I'm meant to be a singer. He said, well, I'm gonna tell you this. He said, I don't think you should leave school, even though in his story, he dropped out of school. So I'm listening to him on the stage like, I need to be like him. He's like, let me tell you something. He said, I don't know that I've ever heard of an R&B singer who was an aerospace engineer. He said, that would be a dope story. That's all I'm gonna say. And so it was not the answer I wanted. I'm like, this man telling me to stay in school and he dropped out. And he's telling me this aerospace engineer, R&B singer would be a dope thing. And so now you fast forward, I don't know who it is. Like, I can't remember the name.
Yeah.
I wish I could find him because it's wild to be here. This album is like this R&B children's album about aviation and aerospace. And it's like, wow, I think he was right. You know, it's a better story.
Yeah.
The music world is
It's an
so
amazing story.
populated with artists and people doing different things. And so lean into what you do best and be open to your dream happening and looking different than what maybe you envisioned. Because sometimes that can take you farther than what your original dreams or plans were. So yeah.
Ooh. preaching to me. Oh my God.
You gotta do it.
The Holy Ghost.
You gotta do it.
Oh my God. That was good.
Thank you.
That was so good.
And by the way, the other thing I want to say is it takes time.
Yeah.
And it's hard. Like those years that I was working in corporate at Spirit Aero Systems, and some managers would be like, you're going to be here 30 years later, just like the rest of us. Oh, Avante, you don't know how. And then every year that I would come back, are they right?
Yeah, yeah.
But it was just like, you got to believe. You got to believe that all this hard work that you're doing is not in vain.
Yeah.
And I made it on other singing, or I went to audition for other singing shows throughout the day and didn't make it, or I made it on Sunday Best, made the top 20, but didn't make it to the top 10.
Yeah.
You know, moments where I thought it was going to happen. It was going to happen.
Glimpse, yeah.
And that's hard when you do feel like you take a step forward, but then you get knocked back down. But I think it is a way of, and I watch a lot of interviews of artists and stuff like that. I think it's a way of trying to make sure that you really want it.
Yeah.
That you're really going to do the work.
Right.
And so it's okay to have your hard days, y'all. It's okay to be like, I'm giving up today.
Yeah.
But you get right back on up. And if it's a thing that you really, really want, it may take longer than you want, but you're gonna get there.
You're gonna get there.
You're gonna get there.
Just don't quit.
Don't quit.
Don't quit. That is what we have, ladies and gentlemen. Do not quit.
Don't give up.
Don't give up.
'Cause he won't give up on you. He's able. He's able.
He's able.
Don't get me started now.
He's
that praise and worship leader coming back.
He's able. Ladies and gentlemen, this was Roy Moye III. He has a new album out called STEMusic Takes Flight.
Yes.
It is on YouTube.
Streaming on Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere you get your music. Y'all go stream it, listen to it, learn something about the aviation industry, and inspire yourself to maybe want to fly more.
Yes.
You know, enjoy the experience of flight.
Absolutely. This was Soar with Avante Marie. I'll catch you later. Bye.